All right, 111 111. Everybody testing, testing, testing. Everybody should be able to see. In addition, here, hopefully that's loud and clear for everybody. So we are back on Zoom. I won't say unexpected because I think we had a feeling for one that the market was going to come down. And here we are. So let's talk setups, opportunities. Let's talk where we're at. Obviously, we had a couple of downside positions. So there were some things, a couple of things I'll cover. Ethereum and Bitcoin. We'll get to those. But first things first, I mean, this was one of our tickers of the week, plays of the week here. And this was Oracle. All right. So Oracle, everybody should be able to follow along. In addition, as well, see the screen because the screen share is now able. So I want you to take a look at Oracle real quick. Ticker Oracle. We're sitting right here on this diagonal trend line. So you got stocks dropping today, of course, as well. You do have a VIX. Was just looking at Oracle here a second ago. Let's go to the VIX real quick here. All right, so the VIX index. Let me go to the VIX. There we go. So the VIX has made it back here to 20. Some of the notable tickers that we've been watching. You got CoreWeave, which is down another 10% today. The NASDAQ itself is down 2.5%. So remember what I said specifically about, some of the riskier tech stocks. When we do anticipate and we do see the market coming down, you can always kind of see, right, that I would say usually typically, right, some of your higher growth names are usually down anywhere in between 2 to 3x what the index, the NASDAQ is down. So you do see that a little bit across the board, not all the way. You did have AVGO sell off, ticker MU, which came down. We covered MU in the morning. So like right here, directly in this morning, I came out, laid it out perfectly for us. We talked about MU before. Of course, looking for a profit take. We just talked about it last night. And so you had a little bit of a profit taking today. Underneath, right, we had a bear flag pattern. I think it was pretty much clear as day for Oracle to come down. Got here to 216.69. Right. So let's break down exactly what we are expecting to go ahead and see next. If you look at my screen here, you'll see that directly right now, you have Oracle, which is hitting this longer diagonal trend line. I drew from the bottom of April all the way up till now. So look at what intersection it just hit. So we can't make this up. This is to the tick. Remember, this line was already there. It was sitting here all week. All week. We talked about this level right here at 215. Now the trend line, right? You're showing the wicks. You see the wicks bouncing right there. So price action is bouncing right there. We're able to see Oracle coming right back up here on the upside. So what I do see is, from an Oracle perspective, if we break now, let's talk about, scenarios if we do break down. We're now hitting points where, you're looking here at Oracle, you're looking here at other tickers, and to me, there's a lot more downside than upside, right? And the SPY, the QQQ coming down, of course, as well, too, again. So I want you guys right now to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success and make sure you're listening. That's the one thing I just got off the phone with people. Like, we're on Zoom 2-3 times a day. We got to be listening because a lot of this stuff is covered. I don't know why it was surprising. I don't think Oracle should, sometimes there's market surprises, but I don't think that at all you could say that Oracle was any surprise move because we outlined it all week, what we were expecting and looking for. And it happened to the tick. So now there shouldn't be any questions when it comes to Oracle, right? You could see that plain as day here. If we break down, right, just so there's no questions, if we break below 215, I don't want anybody to say, where's it going next? Because it's right here on this screen, right? 198, right? 198. Now there's a video I'm about to play real quick. I'm about to show you, this is what I'm going to give a shout out to Javon, even though he's not a part of, necessarily this situation, but this is something that I just want to make mention to. And I'm about to send this over. I want to put this real quick because this is going to make sense for everybody real quick. I'm about to say. So hold on 1 second. This video is coming over and loading. 1 second, let it come through. Shout out to Javon. Y'all put Javon in the chat because I know for a fact he's doing similar things. Oops, it wouldn't let me do it. Oops, hold on 1 second. 1 second. It would not let me do it. Of course it wouldn't. Gave me a little bit of issues. But hold on 1 second. I'm going to send it now. There we go. It should do it now. All right, now it's going to come through. Give it a second. Give it a second. We'll have time for questions and all of that, but let me cook for a second. There we go. It's coming into Discord now. There we go. There we go. So I'm going to let the video play real quick. And there we go. Hold on 1 second. This is my barber, by the way. So while he's cutting my hair, what he got up? What's he got available? He got his trade view. Is there levels on there? 100%. So while I was in the chair, he was shorting the SPY. I can't make it up. Can't make it up. So he asked me about a level. I gave him the level. So at the same time, this is why I talk about dedication. He's cutting my hair. But he's catching his trade. What he got on his time frame levels. He has levels. So I took this video earlier. I didn't send it in. But this is what I'm talking about, execution. He didn't make no excuses. He had levels directly there on his chart. So that video is right there available for you guys. This is what you call execution. Look at that. He got his levels on his chart. He got his iPad posted up right there. That's what you call execution. That's what you call being serious right there. So I just wanted to give him his flowers real quick because I told him I'd do that. That's what it comes down to. When it comes to levels, questions as far as levels, you got to have levels charted. Now, let me get to the second thing that I want to discuss. Anytime that you take a trade, I'm glad it was right here available for us. Anytime that you're taking a trade, you have to be looking at the QQQ, SPY, or DIA. Of course, depending upon what indice that you are looking at as far as where your assets are actually being held. What's the one of the number one resources that I always go to, right? Especially as a new person, if you don't know where your stocks belong, ETF.com is going to be the go-to place for you. So if you don't know what's in the QQQ, you don't know what's in the DIA, you don't know what's in the SPY all the way, right? You come in here, you type in the S&P 500, you type in SPY, and you hit the holdings. So today, when people are wondering as to why the market is down, I've already told people, right? When it comes to NVIDIA, because NVIDIA is such a high asset allocation. So think about that, right? NVIDIA sits so high asset allocation in the market, it alone can drag the market down. Wasn't that one of the things that I highlighted, right? Was that can't we see NVIDIA drag this thing down, right? We can see NVIDIA drag this thing down. So that's what you had here today. Well, let's go. We'll come back to Oracle in a few. But NVDA, let's talk levels for the stock that performs as if it is the market. So we saw here today that NVIDIA went to what level? Once again, notice I ain't set nothing up. What did it bounce at? 183.88. So that's why having your levels is really, really, really key. Now, what I'm going to also add to you guys is underneath $180, that's where we're going to see more pain on NVDA. Also watching that 600 level on the Qs. So I'm giving you guys the next areas to really pay attention to. So notice where right now we just bounced. All I did was draw the diagonal trend line here on the QQQ from the low from last Friday. And I stretched it across. So now notice where we bounced at today. When I drew it at a 45-degree angle, where did we just bounce at today? 605. So underneath this 605, we'll flush to 602, and we'll head back down to $600 a share on the QQQ to NASDAQ. Right. So to me, looking at NVIDIA, looking at the QQQ, this is where now I anticipate if NVIDIA draws down, what's going to come down? This NASDAQ, this QQQ. So I think that's one thing to be pretty loud about is if we do draw here on the downside, that we can see those names come downward. Now, you also have, of course, Apple, AMD, Microsoft, Palantir, Meta, etc. All those names, Google, Amazon. But there's some things that are opening up relatively quickly. And like I said, some of this downside action would happen a lot faster. So I had ETH up. I don't want no questions about ETH because we're going to outline it here today. $42. That's where ETH, in my opinion, is going to head down to. Ethereum, which probably will drop more than Bitcoin, just usually typically how it goes. Ethereum, funny enough, is still above 3K. That's the funny thing about ETH. It's still above 3K for now. But let's talk about ETH. Worst case scenario, I'm looking at ETH coming down to $1,600 to $2,100. That's really like the worst case scenario that I'm looking here at ETH. And I'm just adding a couple of levels here on Ethereum. So ETHU, which is a 2X ETF. I don't want to hear no questions about it. $22 is going to be your perfect price. I want everyone to put 22 in the chat. I want you to put that down on your notes right now. The AI is going to take the notes on the 22. ETHU, that is the perfect price. What do I think is a fair price to pay? Right there, I just got off the phone with my good friend, Mr. Drew Bernard, not too long ago. And I told him he needs to grab ETH, right? ETHU, in between this $22 to $42. So 22 to 42 bucks, ETHU. ETHU, 22 to $42 range. That's your accumulation zone. So you got a $20 accumulation zone, ETHU. Ethereum, worst case scenario, right, is going to be coming down here to $1,700 to $2,100. You could play with it if you want to. Play with it if you want to. But you got that outline there. So ETHU, 22 bucks is the perfect price. Currently, right now, today, it's at $67. So you're looking at a 66% downside. Once again, that's a leverage product. So there's a leverage ETF. It is a 2X leverage ETF, right, compared to Ethereum. So leverage things have been getting cooked here. So I definitely wanted to make mention of that. OKLO. Right here at $100 a share. Let's talk here on the daily time frame. Let me go solo screen real quick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a caterpillar on this side. We'll go solo screen for now on OKLO. We'll come back to Caterpillar later. I got something for them. So OKLO, the fan favorite, that's what we call them. Remember that time when OKLO was just cracking over 100? I remember they had like a 38-point day, right, when they first got over this. So OKLO, the fan favorite of the year. Let me highlight to you real quick, $97.09. Underneath that, $90.22, 85.04. You could be seeing OKLO at 73 bucks here sooner rather than later. So I want to talk about that. What would happen? OKLO falling 30%. So a 30% drop on OKLO to me is likely from here. 30% drop. Now, I want to highlight that I take this sell-off a lot more serious than last week's sell-off, and I'm explaining here in a second, and we'll get to the banks. We're not going to jump to the banks now, but we will. What stock is down $10 today? Just print money, but it ain't printing today. It hit that 320 yesterday. And what happened? Everyone should have taken profit. That was the target, 320, but it's down 3.5% almost today. Didn't I tell you that when JPM started to pull back down, when you started to see Goldman Sachs come down, it's down about 4% today after yesterday blasting, and you saw Goldman Sachs and what they did yesterday. They went over that 824 and made a new high, but they're back to $800 a share almost. So like I said before, did not tell you the market to get in trouble when the banks start to fall. So the banks dropping attributed as well to the drop in the overall market, especially in the S&P. That's why the SPY is down $12 today. So you also had a QQQ here at 606 plus NVIDIA. So attributing both of those things to the main reason as to why we dropped down. Risky assets on sale. All right. So Goldman Sachs, JPM, both pulled back and drew the day. So this was a risk off type of day, not a risk on. So you see a lot of the riskier assets, and as well, we see the banking sector getting slaughtered. We see cybersecurity stocks, Palo Alto Network, right? We see all of these names coming down. We see CrowdStrike coming back down. We see Zscaler coming back down. So this was a true sell day. You saw AVGO, the CIBR, right? So OKLO, you had those notes and those levels there. Let's talk Amazon real quick because we had Amazon as well on the list this morning as far as tickers here to the downside, and it's done just that. But let's talk what's next because it's knocking on the door. This 236.45. Let's show these levels, right? So these are your levels. When you have levels, there's no questions of wondering, okay, where is it going next? No, it's right here in front of you. So look here, Amazon getting ready is breaking down here on this downside. Broke what? This LO what? Low of the week from last week on Friday. This is what it did today. So now we're anticipating that these levels are next to be paying attention to. So I need you guys to watch out for these areas and these levels. Pay attention, jot it down. Don't want no questions. What's going on with Amazon? Amazon just showed you selling, profit taking. So selling and profit taking here on the downside here on ticker AMZN. So put in the chat 233, 229.08 underneath 236.45. Right. So underneath 236.45, that's what I want you to have down. So ticker AMZN. We're expecting a downside move on Amazon. Right. ZN. Put those levels down on your chart. VIX just hit 21, by the way. Had that alert go off. So just want to make that note. VIX just hit 21. SPY is here at 671. So 671 is where the S&P 500 is located at right now. 671, just as a heads up. So now let's talk our some defensive plays. Let's see how long it can be defensive. But T-Mobile, one thing I notice about T-Mobile sometimes is that when a market gets into a little bit of trouble, sometimes some of your safer plays tend to go upwards. So T-Mobile, watch 220. If it doesn't break 220, I'm going to close the position. A nice start to the day for T-Mobile. Had a nice little start to the day. It's fizzled out since then, just trading sideways. But here we are with ticker TMUS, TMUS. Next ticker is ALAB. And I want to make notes on this today because my alerts is going off on ALAB all day. And I see why. Where is it approaching? This is why you got to have your levels set and your alerts on. So two things that I want to make note of here for ALAB. Remember I was mentioning we caught a nice little pre-earnings run on this one and we moved out the way. Good stuff. But pay attention to ALAB about to invalidate this trend line. This stock is going to break down. I want to give you guys the best price to get this ticker at, and it's around right here around 60 bucks. You know, some people are like, yo, what does he mean 60? You right. You heard it right. ALAB, right? ALAB, $60. I don't want to hear nothing about long-term investing in ALAB until it gets there. And you can play with this trend line if you want to. If this thing invalidates, trust me, it's going to come down quick. This ticker does not sit high asset allocation. So I'm going to pay attention to this. ALAB, right? ALAB. I want you to watch this now. Yes, someone asked this live. Yep, this is live in the 3 o'clock in the afternoon. NASDAQ down 2.5%. And where we at? We on Zoom. Get your questions in because at 3:30 we're gonna start taking questions. Right. So 142. This is where it's at today. I'm gonna tell you this now. 60 bucks is where you want this ticker. $60. Ticker ALAB. Let me tell you why. This is a frothy name. And let me explain what I mean by frothy. Since we don't do enough DNA work, we're going to do DNA every single time I step on this Zoom from here on out. We ain't going to talk about nothing unless we do some DNA. This is what it comes down to. DNA is this. This is a 129 P to E ratio business. It's expensive today. Forward P 67. This stock is down what? 10% almost here today, 9.66. What did I say? Go, how much is the NASDAQ down? Right here, 2.5%. I've said it over and over again. 3 to 4 times, right? What the NASDAQ is down is usually what your high growth names are going to be down by. So I want you guys to put this down on your notes. When the NASDAQ falls 2.5%, your favorite tickers, your frothy tickers, these names will be down at least anywhere in between 7 to 12% usually. 7 to 12%. So put that down. When the NASDAQ is more than 2.5 to more than that, you will be down 7 to 12% on your best favorite high growth tickers. So set that alert. If you want this ticker, let me explain as to you why. Pull your calculators out real quick. What has A-Lab earned in the past 12 months? TTM, trailing 12 months, which means the past year, $1.21. So go out to your calculator, put in 60, and divide that by 1.21, right? Divide that by 1 point. You should come out with roughly about 49. So you have 117 P to E ratio there. So I also want to make some notes here. Earnings are expected to grow to about $2, right? So that's where earnings are anticipated to grow for A-Lab over the next year. So what's 60 divided by 2, guys? That's easy money. That's 30. So that's where I got the 60 from. $60, no ifs, ands, buts about it, will be a great price to pick this ticker. If you get 48, don't phone me and ask me, should you still buy it? The answer to the question is going to be yes. So right there within this zone, you could pick up this ticker. Pay attention to what I'm telling you now. Look at where it sits at the technicals and the fundamentals on this ticker now. So A-Lab, we wanted to make mention of it. We talked about this ticker numerous of times, trading it, but I want to give you guys some long-term investing prowess and theses, right? Another ticker that hit the long-term chopping block. It's not quite ready yet, but I want you to start thinking about some cash secured puts. Yes, we're talking about SMCI, because remember, $35. Remember, for those that are here, what was the levels we was talking about getting SMCI at? What was the best price scenario? 17 to 22, right here within this range. That remains. What's a good favorable price in between here at 27 to 35? Because you never know, you may not get 17. But the way that the NASDAQ is moving and the way that the semiconductor stocks are moving, you may get this name to become oversold. What's a good place? Now at $221, you're talking about getting 100 shares for 2 bands on 2,100, a little over 2 bands. So this is good value. If you're thinking about a stock that you would want to get 100 shares of with a pretty decent business model, SMCI is one of your go-tos. So I need you guys to pay attention to SMCI. I want you to pick up this name right at the prices that I'm giving you based upon, once again, the valuation, $1.27 EPS, 27 P to E. So the sweet spot for this name is, you get this thing down to 17.22 again. It's a no-brainer to buy this name. This is a no-brainer to get SMCI at that cost. No-brainer. So you're hearing it now. 17 to 22. Get your bags ready, because underneath that $27 level, that's where to go. So those are my thoughts there. Let's talk about tickers showing relative strength here today. Names that didn't get, actually, you know what? We're going to take one more ticker. I'm going to come back to that. And I'm going to do one more ticker. And then what I'm going to do is I want to take questions. Questions. This is a ticker. Trust me. Just because I don't always speak about a ticker don't mean I ain't watching it. You need to have your alerts. I want to stress this again. Have your alerts. I believe I had this ticker charted on the other side, but there's alerts going off on this ticker today. You remember the craze about this ticker? Well, guess what's about to happen? This stock is about to enter the distribution phase. You're right. I'm telling you here now. So IREN, distribution, is on the way, baby. Guess what? It's coming down, and it ain't going to be back for a while. So it's about to go night-night, Steph Curry style. It's going to take a nap, and it's going to be a long one too. So when you take a look here at this ticker, I want to give you guys a couple of notes on IREN. Remember, this is a fan favorite. So a fan favorite is what? Well, let's come here to IRN. How much is the NASDAQ today? And then how much is IRN? What did I just tell you? 7 to 12, right? Well, how much is IRN down? What was SMCI down? 7%. What is IRN down? 12%. Okay. What's that down? Right there, 2.31 right now. Came a little bit off, 500 points. NASDAQ is down 2.3%. IRN, once again, I want to show you guys a couple of things, and 2 things that I want to add to 27 P to E ratio, right? So let me give you the price that you want to look to get this ticker at. Because some people is going to be afraid to touch this ticker, even though they wanted it at 77, but he's going to be scared to touch it here when the stock pulls back down. So a few things that I'm about to show you here on this ticker. So sweet spot right here, I'm thinking right there around 30, 35 bucks right there. I want to see IRN come down $30. And if you can get it that low, cool. Best price will be $21 to $25. $21 to $25 for IRN. So a 50% drop. Now, celebration here. Want to celebrate. Because you should be happy when the tickers you want get cheaper. So this stock is going to go into distribution phase a bit. It's going to pull back, especially over the next probably few sessions as the market continues to come down. I would like this name once again. I think it'd be a good price at 30 to 35, a more favorable price. Worst case scenario, you come down there to 21, maybe even 15, but I think 15 will really be a stretch. I don't see it going that low. I would like you to get this ticker right here. If you can go ahead and get it at like 21, I think that'd be perfect for you. So get it right there at $21 for me, guys. 21, worst case scenario. Right here, 30, 35. This is going to be where you're at. So IREN. IREN. That's what I want you guys. IREN. Remember, this is a fan favorite. Fan favorite. IREN. Get your questions in the chat. Questions time. Don't let questions just be about tickers either. Please get some good questions. We all got ticker questions 24/7. Let's do this the right way. Questions time. It's 3:03. Let's get your questions. You got 28 minutes until the market close. 28 minutes until the market closes, guys. Give you a roundabout. Get your questions in. VIX is at 21. JPM's down to 310. So we just went through a ton of tickers. Please get your questions in. Questions. Questions. Great question. Two great questions. First one, looking at the indices. I do look at the indices when taking a trade. Do you look at the specific index or indices that the ticker you're trading is, or in the indices in general? Great question right there. So like some stocks, this is why it's a really great question. Some stocks are really going to be in multiple indices, right? So some stocks may sit in the SPY and the QQQ and the DIA. Microsoft, which happens to sit in all three, which is a good example of just showing you, okay, this is a stock that relatively sits everywhere. So that's why some days when the Dow is going up and the other two indices are going down, that's why you still see Microsoft maybe hanging on by a thread and needle. So that's a good question that's being asked. So you should as well look at your sectoral ETFs. So whether it's if you're looking at cybersecurity, you should be looking at a CIBR, right? Right. As far as the CIBR ETF is going to give you some insight as to what just those cybersecurity stocks are doing. Now, as well, if I'm looking at some of the more riskier assets, I also can look at the ARK ETF. Well, there's a reason that I just pulled up the ARK ETF, and I want you to do the same thing as well, right? I want you to pull up the ARK ETF for me, and I want you to take a look at the ARK today. Notice it's breaking here at $77 a share currently right now, but notice that the ARK ETF sold off. Of course, what's the biggest stock within the ARK ETF? You should know, and it's Tesla. So Tesla's coming down. So if the ARK has Tesla as the number one ticker, do you think the ARK's going to be up? ARK's going to come down. So great question as that. So you should look at the sectoral and the individual ETFs. So yeah, great question. Great question there. Since will the market stay selling off? November won't report either. As far as the job reports, I mean, the market, I think, is more concerned with the Fed. Everyone put Fed because the Fed was promising a December cut. Now December is not promised, right? So to me, that's another reason why the market is a little bit souring, because if you listen today, the Fed was, not too confident that they're going to cut rates at all in December again. So that definitely is something that I would say. All right. So let's make sure that we asking questions, not just about tickers. Those were two great questions right there. SOXS. if you notice, I don't really like these bear leverage ETFs. You notice like much hasn't really materialized. So these are just a little sometimes trendy. You know, they can be good. It's just kind of like hit or miss with them. Sometimes they turn on, other times they don't turn on. So the SOXS just hasn't turned on yet. I mean, as far as SoFi, the best price to me is $15. I can just tell you that off rip based valuation. So based upon the valuation down here at about 15, which is where a lot of us picked it up the first time before it went up 100%. So yeah. Let's get it. Palantir, ticker PLTR. Good brother Daniel out there asked us about Palantir. So look, Palantir right here at 169.23. After that, 161.85. So let's go 4 hour real quick. So either one or two things is going to happen. Either here at 169, you're going to have a DB, which is going to be a double bottom. You're going to have a double bottom that could occur right here. If it breaks, once again, I'm not saying the double bottoms happen, but if it breaks below, it's going to go see 162. So that's what's going to happen on Palantir. It's either double bottom or it's going to flush below that level. Yep. Bull hit a 52-week low today, 7 days until earnings. Correct. Not Robinhood. Webull, you want to get that ticker literally at $7. It's probably going to happen. Yep. What's your thoughts on Bull? Yeah, so $7. So you can put that down for as far as. Yep, I was looking at that double bottom. Yeah, so either one or two things, double bottom or breaking that 169 and coming off. Good question here from Steven. With gold selling off, right? Dollar is weak and our president refuses, right, to say we're in a recession. Do you believe we'll get a Christmas? It depends on how deep we fall. As far as going into a correction, we'll see. Can you talk about NAV erosion on dividend and high yield, especially dividend paying stocks dividend paying ETFs like MSTY? Yeah, so this is why I named, right? So let's just put here, right? So let me go do the math on this. So even since October, we're now at $8.37 here. What's the best price for MSTY? Real quick, check in the chat. What's the best price? I'll get you JD after, no problem. $6 to $7, best price, 6 to 7. So it's really about, hold on one second. I can't talk about it and not pull MicroStrategy from an individual stock perspective up too. So I got to talk strategy, right? So strategy is currently at 210, 204, like I said earlier, underneath that 182. So I was just talking to somebody earlier and I said, I mean, here on Strategy Inc. So, of course, it's really incumbent upon how low Bitcoin drops, but Bitcoin's at 98,000. We'll pull them up here in a second. But MicroStrategy here, if you're looking at it, MSTY makes all the sense at $6, $7. And even if it went to 4 or 5, it makes even more sense because look at where you're picking it up comparable to where it was before and the value that you're gaining, right? Because I told people don't ever touch these things when they're high. Always wait for extreme blood to come in. And that's essentially what you see now, because some key areas, especially here where we sit at on MicroStrategy, is we're breaking now. We're right here at this weekly trend line, right? So, monthly trend line that I just drew. Even if I bring it to the weekly, you'll see it closer. So this weekly and monthly trend line that really started in January of 2024. Notice we hit this level last year, September. Price bounce. This is the first time we've revisited this level since then. So here is, this decides whether we drop another $30 to $60, right? So this is what we see. This is where we can see we drop another $30 to $60 on MSTR right here at this 210. This is the inflection point. It's showtime, right? It is absolutely showtime. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood what I'm saying as far as these diagonal trend lines. But I think what's going to be best is this. I want to do I want to do this, and I know we already have classes already, but what I'm going to make Monday is we're going to be locked in the whole day. I think that's the only one. Monday, what we're going to do is instead of 8 to 10, 8 to 10 here Monday, we're going to be locked in this whole day. So everyone, you guys I'll change that schedule. 8 to 10, Well, 8 instead of 8 to 10, we're going to be 8 to all day. That's what we're going to do. We're going to be on this Zoom all day. We'll take obviously table breaks, etc. But we're going to be here all day and we're going to get busy. No games, no playing around. This is showtime, right? Showtime. And so I got to make sure that everyone's understanding exactly what's happening. You have this move here to the downside, right? Move to the downside here. MSTY is coming down. So $6, $7. How you prepare is how you're going to play. So if you want to play, right, you got to prepare. So make sure you tap in with me on the weekend so you know exactly what's happening. You shouldn't come into the marketplace expecting for things to happen and you not prepared. So I got to say that again. Notice where we're closing at today. We got less than 20 minutes until close, right? Majority of the tickers are closing at weekly, daily, or monthly trend lines. A lot of stocks. Notice MB around give Queen our want to give her flowers, right? Because she pulled up MU and pretty much highlighted it to the T, right? Where did MU bounce at today? Hold on 1 second. There we go. Right. So where did MU bounce at? And let me add this line real quick. Bounce right there at the trend line. So that was the trend line I have it on this side. That was the trend line that it bounced at today. Right there. So when you see this here, you have the opportunity, once again, price bounce there. It was, I think as low as the day was 231, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 231, 230, right? So right there came right outside of that level. Liquidity was right there, grabbed it. So that's why I wanted to stress to you guys, if you're paying attention, like the information is right there for you, right? Helping you out. So those are my thoughts. Next thing. And remember, there's a lot of concern with BOIL, right? We just got to pull up the numbers and the stats right here on ticker BOIL. 1 second. There we go. So ticker BOIL is right here starting off on a run. So BOIL. BOIL is here getting ready to go BOIL. 25, 25, 26, 27. I remember there's a lot of people, this is why we highlight things. When we go, we said literally in the chat, on these Zoom calls that we was on, we say, we expected to run November to February. November to February. I'll drop it in there again. Just a month ago, I reminded people just that fast. So that's why I say sometimes your theses are changing too much day by day. If I said November to February, why would I be worried about BOIL in October? Now November comes along and BOIL starts to run and people say, oh my gosh, BOIL's running. You want to buy when people are not talking about your tickers. Like I'm giving you guys 3 months before people start posting on it on Twitter and people start talking about BOIL. I listened to something today that was talking about BOIL. I said this ticker three months ago. No one was speaking about it. That's when you want to buy. Like you want to get your tickers when no one's talking about it. Doesn't mean that it's going to go up that day or that next day, but that's the best time to get your tickers. Not when your ticker's in everyone's mouth. Once again, AKA Kava. A lot of people want a Kava, $30. I'm going to tell you here now, $30, $35, get your Kava. When it was at that price, get your Kava. So I'm going to tell y'all here now, get your Kava. Rubrik. Right here sitting on the trend line. Sitting on this trend line from April 7th was here at $46. Rubrik. I need to tell you here now, Rubrik. Best price to get Rubrik is going to be $40 a share. So that's a $30 downside move. If it comes to those levels, so we're talking about purely long-term investing, nothing about trading. So you want access to Rubrik, get it at 40. So if it comes down to 40, is it a good time to buy? You best believe it. You want your tickers to come down in order, like if you're never buying at a discount, you're always paying a premium. And that's one of the things that I had to make sure I was stressing past few weeks is, valuations is going to come into focus. So if you can't deliver on the numbers, they're going to sell you off quick, fast, and within a hurry, right? Quick, fast, and within a hurry. So what I wanted to say is, listening here to you guys today, I want you guys to get some good questions in. We're going to be here for some more time. I see we got some questions in the chat, right? So let me get Lyft real quick because we got some Lyft questions. No problem on that. And you know what? Just put all your tickers in there. I know I said no. Just let's just get it all. Let's get it all out the way. Let's get all your tickers. Anybody got a ticker? Give it to me. You put your tickers. You here on YouTube? Give me your tickers. I'm checking that chat. Give me all your tickers. We're gonna get it. All the tickers. We ain't gonna shut this Zoom down until we get everybody's tickers. As far as Lyft is in the still trying to break out of the accumulation phase. Someone asked me, am I still bullish on NVOX? You best believe it. NVOX and NVO. We got the best prices we believe available in order to go ahead and triple or quadruple the pot on that one. Lyft, breaking out of the accumulation phase, your target is going to be $32.65. $32.65 would be your first weekly time frame target. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Yep. We got ticker Circle. My brother, me and you, we went to high school together. So we go way back. Let me get your ticker. Hopefully it's all is well with you, my friend. Been a minute. Good to see you. 10 plus years right there. $83 currently right now, Circle. So my brother, I would say $50. Don't touch Circle Internet Group unless you can get it at $50 a share. I want everyone to put 50, right? And I want you to put Circle behind that. $50. $50. I want to say that here now. Do not touch Circle unless you can get 50. 50, 50, 50. Kava, cash secure put. Yes, sir, Mr. Peters. $35 to $30 for Kava would be the cash secure put. Let's get UPS. Good ticker. Good company. Let's get UPS. We got you. We're going to get all these tickers. After that is TTD and then TSM. So TTD and TSM, that's easy money. So let's get UPS. So let me go monthly time frame first. So let me show you where UPS is at in its life cycle. It's back down to the same level it was at in 2020, right? So same level was at here in 2020. So if you look here, and take this off real quick. All right. So long-term wise, right, UPS is in a really great spot to grab if you're thinking about grabbing shares. I personally believe, just my thoughts, right? Just my thoughts here. A business earning $6.47 EPS with a 7% dividend yield almost. I like $60 a share. I still would like UPS to drop another 30 points. So $60 a share to me is like my best price on UPS. Once again, UPS is not a growth company. This is more of a value name. But unfortunately, I won't say unfortunately, but the reality was in 2020, they experienced a lot of growth. And so a lot of that got erased. So reality prices are going to set back in. I still would not touch UPS if you were thinking long-term till about $60. TSM and as well, let me get TTD. We'll just line those bad boys up here together. TSM, which is in the public participation phase, sitting here right now at about 281. There's a level at 276. So put that down on your notes. It bounced off that level previous time. Below that level, I want you to watch 264, right? 264.58. Underneath that, 258. Right, 25. So I'm gonna give you guys some good levels on that. If we are to break down now, 276 has been the floor. TSM has been able to stay up so far. Of course, if NVIDIA, just think about this, right? If NVIDIA drops and gets below the 177 that we was just highlighting, you already know that TSM is coming down. So a lot is going to have to do with NVIDIA's performance here. NVIDIA's performance is going to be directly tied to the success, right? Here of the TSM stock and the SMH ETF, right? So, yeah. Let's get TTD, the trade desk. Let's get TTD, your favorite ticker, one of your favorite tickers, one of ours too. TTD currently right now here at $42. Falling wedge pattern here at $42 a share. You're looking out there. We're right here in this same spot that TTD has bounced off of previously, right? So it's bounced off this level past 4 or 5 times in the past 5 years. So TTD has not been below 40 in over 5 years. So just keep that into perspective. So if we are to break below $40, right, I do anticipate us coming down a little bit lower, but this is a good reversal area for TTD. We'll see what it does. Good company at a good price. So those are my thoughts on TTD. Those are my thoughts on TTD. Yep. Microsoft. Yep. AMD. AMD, Microsoft, Meta, MU. Right? AMD, Microsoft, Meta, MU in that order. All right. So you got AMD currently sitting here now. Got right back to this trend line, the same trend line we bounced off of on what was that today? So with AMD, it all comes down to justifying the valuation. The same thing that I said with MU, these stocks are going to run. They have to be able to justify their valuations. And I'm looking here at AMD. I like AMD. Of course, I think everyone knows that. Short term, if we get underneath this trend line, we could be a little bit bearish. But I mean, I would say that AMD is fine. I wouldn't be caught up on it too much. I've seen AMD in the past have these big time moves and runs. But with AMD, if we are to lose 203, you could just put this down on your notes. If AMD loses 203, it's over with. It's coming right back down to 180. So I would only be worried about AMD below 203. So 203. Yeah. 203. Let me get HUD real quick before we get Microsoft and the rest of those tickers, because Robinhood came down sharply today. And I covered this a couple weeks. Well, actually, no, this was this week and a few weeks back as well. What's the best price to get HUD? We're going to see who's paying attention. What's the best price to get HUD? What's the best price to get HUD, y'all? What's the best price? Thank you. $70. So Robinhood coming back down to, what was that level? That was from June, right? All the way back there to June. So Robinhood, we're saying, a $50 drop on Robinhood would be a fair value price, right? Where we feel as if, okay, HUD, you could take a crack at it and not lose sleep. So $70, $70 with HUD. Now, that's a fair price. I would say best price, that's a fair price for HUD, like $70. Best price, I would say around $40 to $50. So I want to make that one clear. And for all these best prices and all of that, you being a part of the community, we're going to do that this weekend. So on Sunday, we're going to release the list filled of 50 tickers, maybe plus, right? A little bit more with best prices, worst case scenarios, and all of that. So we had that developed for you. $70 with, a level that you say, you know what, I can't ignore it. 40 to 50, Brinks truck, you're backing it up on that. So you're backing it up on a Brinks truck. What's the target? Tell John, tap in with us here, man. We went over Amazon first thing, but I'm going to give it to him in the chat anyways. Right? So give it to him. There we go. There we go. Know your levels. Never get into a trade and you don't have targets. I'm going to tell you that here right now. Never get into a trade and you don't have targets to find. Rule number 1. Don't never get into a trade and don't have targets. I just gave it to him right there. So $70. Let's keep this party rolling. Let's focus on Microsoft. We got some other tickers, MU. We're going to get in there. Microsoft currently at 502. So on the downside action, let's say Microsoft pulls down below 500 again, it'll come back to 496 and then 493. So below 500 again, 496 and 493 here on Microsoft. It tried to get above 510 and 511 today. It just didn't have the juice. Of course, we see as to why. But here on Microsoft, I think in the beginning of the day, it showed us some relative strength. So 515. If Microsoft breaks 515, it'll be back on the upside. So, yep. We got two Babas there. Two Babas. We'll get Baba. And then we'll get MU right after. So we'll get you guys. So Alibaba here at 157. It popped today. And then I also owe JD. So let me get that. I believe someone asked me earlier on JD. But holding here strong. Like, I don't see Baba breaking this. And then, unless we do, if Baba does, it's hard for me to see it breaking. But if it does, 148.31. So underneath 157, you should be looking at 148.31. That's premium value right there. Notice every single stock I went to, you guys put the tickers. I had it charted though. So if you know that you're trading a ticker, you have to have it charted. I want to stress that once again. If you're trading a ticker, you must have it charted. Super, super, super duper important. You must have it charted. Right? Trading a ticker, you must have it charted. Rule number 1 and 2. Let me get JD. Right? So when I'm looking at JD, let me go monthly. Another one. I don't even trade JD really, but it's still charted to some degree. So you gotta make sure that you're paying attention. As far as JD.com, I'm not a big fan of JD, right? Hence why I said I don't really trade. I would watch JD though. And the reason why I would say that is I could kind of see that. Hold on one second. Like JD, you want to look here. Let's see. There we go. So right here, sitting right here on this trend line right now. So if JD breaks through 30, it's going to drop to 24. So you got Alibaba potentially heading down to 148 and down there in the early 140s. And then you got JD as well coming here to the downside. So both stocks, right? JD and Baba. What do we call those? We call those duo pairs. So there's definitely a level of confluence. There is a level of confluence on those particular equities, right? Within the same sector. So drop some fires in the chat if this stuff is making sense to you today. Drop some fires in the chat, 160 plus. Shout out to all our community members that are here, right? Coach, I know how we feel about NVO, but I see NVO and PFE are in a bidding war to buy. Whichever one buys it, what do you think it would do for the stock and company? Great question that Cleve asked, right? Great question. That's a scholarly question right there. So you do have both fighting over. Now, it depends on how they acquire. So one, sometimes you can do you could have an all cash offer. You could leverage, some debt to be able to go pick up a company. There's quite a few ways for you to be able to go and grab a company. Just depends. To me, whichever one grabs, it's an immediate boost, right, to the company on an individual perspective. So I definitely do think, for one, if you just look at both tickers, right, let's talk about both tickers as far as where they sit at right now. I mean, this stock is getting beaten, right, smacked up, hammered, however you want to describe this ass kicking that PFE and NVO is getting, right? Both tickers relatively had the same chart setup. So we'll start there, of course, relatively within the same sector. So NVO to me is a name. Even as well, PFE. I think the deal benefits NVO more. PFE already, I won't say they already have enough, but NVO needs the deal more. So I'll say this: if NVO loses out on the deal, to me, it will hurt them more for missing out on it. This can be a boost, a direct boost to the morale and a stock price, in my opinion, around the company. So those are my thoughts on that. Yep. So you got, funny enough, Meta's back positive today. Interesting. SPY's there at 671. Apple is still flat. I did see some apples going around. We'd probably be down 4% if Apple was dropping today, realistically, because that would have dragged the rest of the sentiment. When Apple starts to fall, that's usually when all the other dominoes start to fall realistically as well. So looking there, that's really the bulk of things. I mean, today was really a NASDAQ heavy selling day. We just hit the 4:00 bell, so price just closed here, right? So we just hit the 4:00 bell there. So yeah. Let me get SOXS. We covered that already, bro. We're not really focused on SOXS right now. So we did cover that already, just to let you know. But we don't really like SOXS. Adobe. Good brother James Obery asked me about this yesterday. Good brother in our community. But I told him, and I'll tell this is easy. I'll tell him the same. I'll tell you guys the same thing I told him. I wouldn't grab Adobe unless it was $200 a share. So sitting right here on this trend line, I think Adobe's likely to break. I would like to get this ticker $200 in sub to $200 in sub. So Tesla is just me and Tesla dropping 7%. Can it keep coming down? I get that ticker for you next. I believe we had CRM, and we'll get Tesla. All right. So CRM, and then we'll get Tesla. So Salesforce. The level really with Salesforce is 210, 209. I'm not really, I wouldn't be a buyer of this name right now. You know, if I was looking at it, I would not be a buyer of Salesforce, right? I actually like Salesforce here to the downside. Shout out to Salesforce. They've had an incredible run, but I like Salesforce to come down. Notice, like I said, almost every ticker, not all, but almost, is closing at some form of its major diagonal trend line. So this is a stock that's sitting right here on this diagonal trend line. As of yesterday and today, it's working its way back down. So if we break, it's night. This is where make or break time. Either the money's going to come in to save or it's done. Money's going to come in to save or it's done. Yep. MU again. Let me give you MU again. MU currently right now, 232. You need to watch this diagonal trend line here. We inverted it today, but we formed a hammer candle right off it. So here at 232, 224, 214 after that. So if MU is staying below 240 and gets below that 231, which was the low of the day today, 230 essentially and change, 225. So those are our thoughts. As far as long-term, nothing's changed with MU, right? Nothing's changed long-term with MU. Yep. Nothing's changed on that. You good there? Yep. INTC, ABBV. We went over TSM, INTC, rejected off this trend line. It was trying to break. Once again, keep talking about these trend lines. Pay attention. Rejection here and another rejection here. So Intel, until it breaks through 40 and stays above, it rejected here on the downside. So we pulling back down here now, right? So INTC coming here to this downside, rejected off of a 4-year diagonal trend line, which was stretched to the downside. So we rejected. So, yep. Tesla, the level. Let's pull up this bad boy. So Tesla had a rough day. It wet the bed. You talk about wetting the bed, and that's what Tesla did today. Broke down 430 early. And this is why you got to keep the levels on your chart. So, like I said before, 393. So the Tesla today, it closed right at support. It broke through 415. I got underneath this 430, which was 429.74. So it's night. Tesla's wetting the bed. And yeah, it's over. 383, 373. If Tesla continues to keep drawing down, for sure. A reversal here would send us back to 414. So do keep that in mind. 414 in the short term. The Dow sank 800 points. Just got that alert from, there we go. Questions. I think we're going to round about there for everything. So for now, last call for it. Last call. Lyft/Uber. We'll get Meta now. Bounced off the 600 level. There's a level really at 596, I believe, based upon my calculations. And yes, I'm correct. 596.88. All right. So 596.88. So right there, 610.20. 610.20. All right. So 610.20. So you look there. There we go. We just did INTC just a few seconds ago. Right. Lyft and Uber. We covered Lyft. I'll give you Uber and just tell you Uber's a good hold for now. You notice that Uber's not selling as bad as some of the rest of the tickers, so there's some good value there. All right, Meta Platforms, 610 currently right now. It held at 600 today, which could form very similar to what I told Daniel, good brother Daniel, a few moments ago. Palantir, the same thing. Palantir is likely to form a double bottom here at 169. Meta Platforms is likely to form a double bottom here at 602 here on the hourly and the 4-hour time frames. All right, so those are my thoughts there. A lot of double bottoms capable of happening. So if we bounce tomorrow, we're up and we're green, it's because some double bottoms were in effect. So just to make those notes. Yep. Like I said, when the market would come down, I will be here even more. I want to make sure I'm adding value and people understand what's happening and going on. So, yep. Last ticker will be LMT. That's it. Last ticker, Lockheed Martin is it. Lockheed Martin right now. Once again, I don't even trade this ticker, but boom. You have a rising wedge pattern, right? Price broke here to the downside. So this could be a reversal area, another stock that closed relatively right near its diagonal trend line. So LMNT, if you're thinking if price does break here, you could be coming down to 412 and then 493.77. But obviously we know that LMT, Lockheed Martin, is not usually a highly volatile asset. So do just keep that in mind. This is not usually a highly volatile asset. It does have its times to go on a run, but it's not a mover every single day. A lot of times it does trade sideways. So those are my thoughts on that. That was the last ticker for the day. So roundabout anything, that's pretty much it. Let me give you ABBV. We'll do that, Cleve. Last ticker for Cleve for the day. Don't mind that for you, brother. So right here, 232. Currently right now on, I think it's, I don't know why ABV is not charted all the way. That's on me. Shout out to Caven as well. I'm not sure if Caven's here in the building. Me and him went back and forth on this ticker a few months ago. ABBV. We talked about it. That's why I said I was surprised this thing wasn't charted all the way. Because I have charted this ticker before numerous times. Nonetheless, it's not charted now. Just take a few seconds. So if you are looking at ABBV, let's see. So we just recently went on a run in July. So me and Caven was talking about this. That's why I gave him his flowers. He brought it to my attention. And we saw, just to show you how the descending diagonal trend line can work. There we go. There we go. There we go. So you see how, like, when we broke this trend line on ABV here in July, price went up. That's what I was talking about with Caven. He brought mention to it. So here with ABV, I would even, let me just, oh man. I think this is easily a stock that can continue to run. It is within the XLV ETF, so you can put it down. We set a trend line at the top point, and actually, funny enough, it rejected here to, what was that, today? Yeah, so it pulled down here on the hourly. But over that 238, Cleve, it's going to go make a new high. I'm going to tell you that right now. So over that level, it's going to go make a new high. Going to go make a new high. Over that level, go make a new high. Those are my thoughts on it. Yep. So I'll drop some pre-market notes tomorrow. And I will see you guys on Saturday. So Saturday, we have a live in-person class. And I'll see you guys Sunday. Remember, I'm going to change the time on Monday to all day. So Monday, we'll get busy all day, barring any interruptions. Monday, be ready to get busy all day. All right. So other than that, that's pretty much everything. So hopefully everybody got all the value that they needed, the questions that they needed to be answered. And I'll post this recording up as soon as it's available. So, yep. I'll give you an answer on that. I got you, Remar. I'll give you an answer on that and let you know. Yep. Yep. I appreciate you guys. Miss Vanessa, you're right. We'll do that Saturday and Sunday. Appreciate that. Thank you.